I can't hear you. I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear.
Good morning, Las Vegas, and welcome to the 100 Black Men Youth Economic Empowerment class, Wells Fargo Hands-On Banking. This is week number 6 for our high school students, and we have our partner, Miss Jane Pavick, here today. Hi, Jane. How you doing?
Good morning and happy Mother's Day weekend to all the mothers that may be tuning in this morning.
Yes, fantastic. Okay, so this week we have a lively class. It's the last class, and we have some very important things to go over. So, Jane, I'm going to let you take it away.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rhonda. And good morning, everyone. As Rhonda said, this is class number 6. We've been through a lot of different information and topics, helping you build that financial foundation so that as you move forward in whatever you're doing out after high school, that you'll have that good foundation to make some good money management decisions for you and your family as you go through your different stages of life. So last week we talked about credit and loans, and we went through a lot of information, and we had some really good questions and engagement from Alvin and Andre. And I just wanted to quickly go over some of the highlights from last week's session before we get into the topic this week, which is school and money. So I am going to share with you a PowerPoint that I have that talks about the topics we went over last week. And I am just going to pull that up right now. So credit and loans. So last week we talked about what is credit. I'm going to play a video for you.
Credit means being able to borrow money from a lender with a promise to pay them back, usually in monthly payments. Car loans, student loans, credit cards, and home mortgages are all examples of credit.
The lender makes money by charging you an extra amount in interest and fees over and above the amount of the loan itself.
How much will borrowing money cost you? It mostly depends on 3 things: how much you borrow, called the principal, how long you take to pay the money back, known as the term,
and the interest rate you're being charged.
Right, and lenders will only loan you money if they have trust and confidence that you're able to pay them back. Earning their trust is called establishing credit.
Every time you borrow money and keep your promise to pay it back, you strengthen your ability to borrow again the next time. That's called building a good credit record or a good credit history.
Using credit can help you reach your goals. But remember, credit has benefits and risks.
So what is credit? In there, they mentioned what is a lender. And just to remind everyone, a lender could include a bank, a credit union, a credit card company, mortgage company. It could also be a car dealership. It could be furniture. So when we're talking about credit, a lender can be any different form of business like that. And if you do a careful job of managing your money, then you're going to have the ability to borrow money and when you need it, whether it's for a car repair, whether it's for going to school, or whether it's for buying a house eventually. And the ability to borrow this money is called credit. So let's talk about the 4 C's of credit. Credit history. Lenders want to see that you have a history of stability and that you're going to pay them back. Collateral. These are what the assets, what they call, of the borrower. So it's whatever material object there is that the lender will take if you don't pay your debt on time. So for example, a home or a car or furniture. So that's the collateral. The next C is conditions. So these are conditions outside outside of you as a borrower, what you have. So it could be things like what's happening in the economy and overall, and the lender will look at the conditions to determine, maybe that affects your interest rate or the term of the loan. And one example of that is our recent, the last 2 years with COVID. A lot of people lost their jobs and they weren't able to get a paycheck and pay their debts. So a lot of lenders looked at what they had on their books, the loans that they had, that they were holding, that they were helping people acquire and pay back. And they decided to make adjustments to those loans according to the COVID, what was happening in COVID. And often as we saw during COVID, they put a pause on requiring people to pay the monthly payment. So the conditions, that's just an example of what lenders look at when they're trying to determine your interest rate and how long you're going to pay back that loan. And then your capacity. So what other debts do you have? What other expenses? And what revenue do you have coming in that's going to impact your ability to repay the loan? So those are the 4 C's of credit that lenders look at when they're deciding whether they're going to give you the money to borrow. Where can you get credit? We already said banks, credit unions, credit cards, department stores like Target, Walmart, Costco, Best Buy, car dealerships, loans and student loans, which is what we're going to talk about in just a couple minutes, and stores, furniture and electronics. And as you're starting out, there are a couple of things to be aware of. One, you may want to start out with a secured credit card, which is basically a credit card that's issued by a bank or a credit union. And the collateral that they back it up with is your savings. So it's tied to like your savings account. And this way it helps you establish credit that you borrow, say $200, and then you pay it back on time and in full. And that establishes your credit history. So then you can go on and perhaps get larger loans. But before you take out any credit, the other thing that's always important to remember, any type of loan, any type of credit card, is to read the terms, understand the terms, ask questions, understand the interest rate, and don't sign anything until you're absolutely sure that this is the right credit extension for you. So let's talk about some responsible credit management. Again, these are things we talked about last week, but just reminders. Pay the outstanding balance or minimum amount every month. Keep your credit card balances below 70% of the credit limit. Pay on time, don't miss a payment, stay within your credit limit, and freeze yourself to protect your credit. And we didn't talk about freezing your credit last week, but what that is basically is if maybe you've lost your ID or you've lost your credit card, you can call a credit reporting agency and they'll put a freeze on any new credit. So if you did lose your ID and perhaps somebody tried to open an account in your name, the credit reporting agency would not let that happen. And once you put a freeze on your credit report, the only way it can be unfrozen, even for you to go open a credit account, is you have to, again, contact the credit reporting agency and ask them to take that freeze off your account. Whoops. And if you manage your credit responsibly, some of the outcomes or the results, it's going to be easier to borrow money. You're not going to be charged penalty fees, which can add up. And the whole point of managing your money wisely is to make sure that you have money that you need and that you have money to do what you want to do as well. So again, more money in your pocket, you could potentially get lower interest rates, a lower ratio of debt versus income. If you're managing your money responsibly, you'll be able to keep that debt lower. And it gives you the ability to shop around. So when you're looking at different loans, looking for that best interest rate, that's one of the results of managing your credit responsibly. And how do lenders find about your credit history? Well, again, we've mentioned it, credit reporting agencies, just a reminder, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian are the main credit reporting agencies in the United States. And the different things they track are how much you owe, whether you pay your bills on time, the different types and number of credit accounts you have, and where you live, work, and how long you've lived and worked there. So all of those things are tracked, and lenders look at that. Sometimes even landlords look at that when you're looking at renting a new apartment or a house. So let's talk about what your credit score is.
Lenders always want to know the credit history of people who ask them for credit cards and loans. To find out, they turn to credit bureaus.
Credit bureaus keep track of almost everybody's credit history information. Things like how many credit cards you have and how much you owe, whether you pay your bills on time, where you work and how long you've worked there.
In addition to your credit history, almost all lenders look at your credit score. This is a number that indicates how reliable you are at paying back your debts. A computer program analyzes your entire credit history and generates a single number or score, usually ranging from 300 to 850. This score helps lenders decide if you're a good credit risk or not.
All right. We are also going to look at how loans work because we are going to be talking about student loans in this session.
Need money to pay for something big, like a car or college education? You may need a loan. Let's look at how loans work.
With a loan, you receive all the money the lender has approved for you in one lump sum. This is called the principal. Then, to pay the lender back, you need to make equal monthly payments, called installments, for a fixed period of time until the loan is paid off.
The lender may also charge you fees for giving you the loan. On top of repaying the principal, you'll also have to pay the lender interest.
How much interest you'll pay for your loan depends on three main factors: how much you're borrowing, the interest rate, and how long it'll take you to pay the money back. This is called the term of the loan.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about loans last.
Need money to pay for something big?
Sorry about that. So we did talk about some of this stuff again last week, and I just wanted to highlight these important factors that you need to keep in mind when you're looking at different loans or looking at taking out a loan. So we're going to show you how the difference in interest rate will impact how much money you have to pay, which will impact how much money you have in your pocket if it fits into your budget, and then also how much money you're paying in interest over the term of the loan. So we're looking at a loan amount of $10,000 with a 5-year term. And so this is an installment loan. It's not like a credit card, but you can use the same factors impact credit card loans as well. So in loan A, your interest rate on this $10,000 loan is 5%. The interest rate with loan B is 15%. And what that does to your monthly payment, the loan A, it's $188.77 is your monthly payment, and that's 5% interest. Loan B, a 15% interest rate, is $237.90. That's almost double, maybe not quite, but it's quite a bit more than loan A. So over 5 years, loan A, you'll only be paying $1,200 in interest, which is still a lot. So your $10,000 loan, maybe it was a loan to buy a car, you're actually buying that car for $11,000. If you look at loan B, you'd be paying $4,000 over the life of the loan with the higher interest rate. So, if you took out that $10,000 to buy a car, you're actually paying $14,000 for it. So that's why it's important to, try to manage your money wisely and shop around for the best interest rate, because in the long run, look how much money you save with that lower interest rate. So just to wrap up, be smart about managing your credit. So, thinking back of all the things we've learned over the last 6 weeks, shop for credit, keep track of charges, plan your shopping, pay on time, set limits and stick to them, get help early if you can't meet your credit obligations. And so we're going to talk about real quick, be aware of the credit trouble signs, which is the one section we didn't get to last week. But if you're paying late, ignoring savings, meaning you're not putting money in your savings account, you're not paying yourself. If you're bouncing checks, meaning you're writing checks for more than you have in your checking account. If you're maxing out your credit, experiencing stress over finances. So if you can't sleep at night, if you're stressed out anytime the phone rings, that's a warning sign there might be trouble. And if you're feeling like you're paying forever. So things to keep in mind before we end, when it comes to, I'm going to go back to that slide. When it comes to the trouble signs, don't ignore any of these signs because it's not going to get better if you ignore it. Things you can do, talk to your lender right away, call your bank, call your credit union, call your credit card agency, and talk to them about what's going on in your life right now. And they will do their best to make a situation better for you because it's easier for them and it's less expensive if they help keep you on track and help support you through that. And your lender may recommend a credit counselor, or there are nonprofits who help with when you're having issues making payments. And know that the credit management is a process. It's not going to be fixed automatically. It takes a little bit of time. So that's all we have on the credit and lending. And I
So
see
Jane,
Mr. Ron.
yeah,
Yeah.
I want to say one thing. She is absolutely correct. If you get into difficulty, you get into trouble, things happen, life happens, and you aren't able to make your payments, it doesn't matter what type of loan you have. It could be a car loan, it could be a house loan, it could be your student loans, whatever it is. If you just call the organization that you're getting the money from and just explain to them what's going on, they have programs in place to help you, when you go through your difficult time, so that you won't mess your credit up. Because that is one thing you do not want to do. You do not want to mess your credit up. You want to keep your credit as good as possible, because when you have good credit and you go to get a loan, the amount of interest they charge you varies based on your credit. So if you have great credit, you pay less money. If you have bad credit, you pay more money. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about your finances. Thanks, Jane.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Miss Rhonda. I think you and I have both probably learned by the hard way, right? I know that when I started out, I didn't make some good choices and decided I didn't need to pay a credit card, and that does impact you. So thank you.
You're welcome.
For that. Okay, so we're going to dive into our new lesson this week, which is investing in yourself. And so this is what you want to do beyond high school. So you're all getting ready. You're over the next couple of years, you're going to be graduating from high school. And so this is the time to decide what you want to do with the rest of your life. Great. So, so they talk about education, and that could be a community college. It could be a trade school, and it could be a 4-year or even more degree. But just know that you've got lots of options. I mean, you can do whatever you set your mind to it. So we're going to talk about different choices and how you can finance the different choices that you want to go make as you get out of high school, what career you want to go into, and how you can finance that, and how you can make the most of your career. Now, I know that you guys were all assigned this lesson during the week. We're not going to go over this quiz, but we're going to jump into education and earning power because it talks about the items in that quiz. So I'm going to read this through. Antonio at a turning point. Antonio is about to graduate from high school. His friends want him to join them at college. His goals are to be an electrician and to borrow as little as possible. So we have 3 choices that Antonio is considering. And what do you guys think is the best choice? First choice, I'm going to move to the town where my friends are at state college, pick up a job and try to save enough to join them in school. The second choice, I'm going to stay at home with my family and work at the local auto parts store. It's steady work and I can keep my expenses low. And 3, I'm going to work part-time as electrician's assistant and go to trade school to get licensed as an electrical contractor. And that's my dream. So reading these choices, I'm just going to pick choice 3 because he said he wanted to be an electrician and he'd be learning it. And then he'd be able to get licensed as a contractor and earn a living. So let's see what happens there. Fantastic. All of those choices were good choices, but this seems like it might be the best one. And I'll just read through this. Given his interest and personal and financial goals, Antonio's best next step is to go to trade school and work part-time to earn money. Trade school will help Antonio reach his next goal. And if he decides to go to college later on, he'll be in a better position to afford it. So trade school, something like that. He's also meeting people who already work in the field. So he's making contacts for future employers. So let's talk about when you do decide to maybe get some more education. What options does that open up for you? Great. So they make some really good points about what are you good at? What are you interested in?
Jane, we didn't hear that
yes.
video. We didn't hear that video.
Oh, dear, really? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute.
Okay.
And then I am going to share again.
Okay.
I've got the shared sound. We've got the gremlins going today with our computers, don't we?
Yes, we are.
Okay, should I try again?
Yep, try it again.
For some jobs, you don't need specialized education or training beyond what you learned in high school. But lots of jobs do require it. And there are lots of options for getting it. Trade school, technical school, or college.
Many subjects offered at college aren't geared to specific jobs or careers. But college can give you skills like how to research, solve problems, and express yourself that'll help you in almost any area. And some classes can help you get ready for jobs in healthcare, high tech, or the business world.
Exactly. Education beyond high school can give you the knowledge and skills that lead to more job and career options.
So, think about the kinds of work that you think are worthwhile. What interests you? What are you naturally good at? And what's your idea of an amazing challenge?
After you've identified some careers that interest you, see what kind of education and training is required and how the salaries in those jobs match up with your financial goals.
Okay, great. So, so as they pointed out, what interests you? What are things that you like to do? You should take the time to explore all these things. And sometimes you might head down a certain path, whether it is going to college, community school, trade school, apprenticeship, and you decide, you know what, this really isn't for me. And that's okay, because at least you explored it. And there's this note down here that says free information about jobs and career is available at the public library and on the web. What the job involves, the training, education you'll need, the pay, and the current employment outlook. And you've got friends and family who are doing certain jobs that maybe you'd be interested in. So ask them questions. What do they do? Do they like what they're doing? And there's just lots of resources. So you should look into what you'd like to do for the rest of your life. So as we go through here, the one thing that has been proven through some studies is that the level of education you achieve can make a huge difference in how much money you're able to earn. And everybody's life, your situation is different, but on average, a college graduate earns 12 million more in their lifetime than a high school graduate. So that's a lot of money. And when we talk about college graduate, there's so many different choices now for going to college. They've got a lot of online courses. So if you're working full time and can only take one class a semester, there's that option. So really look into what fits your lifestyle, what you want to do, and how you can make that fit into what you're doing right now. So here is just some examples of how much. So this is for people over age 25. So assuming that maybe it takes 6 years to get the training or the school, and that you've been at your job for a while. So as you can see, the different levels of pay, we're going to just go straight to that. And this is before tax earnings of full-time worker 25 and older. So this is just a bunch of research that they've done. If you get a professional degree, on average, 97,000. And this, information changes on a yearly basis as the economy changes. If you have a doctoral degree, so that's usually beyond high school, that's probably 10 to 12 years or more, 94,000. A master's degree in something, 74,000, bachelor's, 62. If you get an associate's degree, 46. Some college but no degree, average about 44,000. High school graduate, 37,000, and not a high school graduate is 28,000. So as you can see, the more education you get, on average, you'll earn more money. Now, is this true for every single case? No, not at all, but it's something to keep in mind when you're thinking about what you want to do with the rest of your life. So again, this is just some data. You guys have access to this website, so you could go back and look at this information in detail. And the data where they received this from is US Bureau of Labor Statistics. So it is a survey, and they do this on a regular basis, and they make adjustments. So you could always go to that website as well to see what's in that survey. So Rhonda, is there anything that you want to add?
You are absolutely right. Those are that was good information about particular jobs you could have regarding the degrees you could receive after you finish school. So that was right on the money.
Great, thank you. So now that we've talked about, you've got the opportunity to do whatever you want to do, and you can research it. How are you going to pay for it? Because regardless of what path you take, you're probably going to have some sort of training or education involved. And so next we're going to talk about the sources of funds that are out there.
Education beyond high school has a price tag, and the cost can be high. Where will you get the money you need?
There are 4 common sources. The first one is savings, and the other 3 sources are called financial aid.
Right. Financial aid includes money you're given, money you earn, and money you borrow. For some of this money, you need to apply to the U.S. Department of Education in order to qualify.
If you apply for financial aid, each school that accepts you for admission will send you a letter that lists how much of each type of financial aid you're eligible to receive. The list may include grants, scholarships, a work-study program, and loans.
Great. So they just talked about 4 different types of sources of funds that you could use. So there are savings, and that could be your savings, your family's savings, the financial aid, the student loans, grants, and scholarships. And we're going to talk about all that. I'm also going to show you a website at the very end where you can apply for your financial aid, and it's a national search engine. So I'm going to open that up. If there's any questions, I'll stop for a minute. Okay. So one thing when you talk about sources of funds, you're also going to need to figure out how much money you're going to need. So if you're going to school, there's a thing called cost of attendance, and we're going to talk about that, but it's basically how much it's going to cost you to go to school. So that includes tuition, and that includes books, and that includes your housing and your food and all the supplies you need to go to school. So the average yearly cost at a 4-year college, again, they have lots of research on this. A 2016 College Board study showed the average yearly cost tuition, room and board, and fees at a private college or university is $49,000. It's a lot of money. At a public university, about $25,000, and in-state students, $39,000. So when they talk about in-state students and out-state students, that's if you have lived in the state for a while. So living in Las Vegas, Clark County, you can probably get a reduced rate because you're an in-state student. And Nevada has a lot of fantastic schools. They've got a lot of community colleges, junior colleges, and then the UNLV and UNR, some really good colleges, and those are public. There are private schools as well. And so why do the costs vary? It depends on whether it's public or private, whether you're going for a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, and then whether you're going to live at home or at school. So those are things that you all need to research. And one good source that you can go to, there are a couple good sources, but one is your counselor at your high school. Talk to them about the different schools and how much things cost. You could also call the schools themselves and talk to the admission group. And again, I talked about the cost of attendance. That's one way, a simple way, which includes all of those expenses you have. Most have that cost of attendance that they've figured out each year for students, and whether you're out of state or in state. So again, contact those schools directly, and they should be able to give that to you. And then other factors to consider. Money is one really important piece, but it's not the only factor that you should consider. Consider, which school has a stronger program in what you're interested in studying, and which one has a better reputation, which one has a kind of environment you'd like to enjoy. So for example, you may have one school in your state that is the designated medical school. So they maybe are going to have more intense or different variety of classes that lead up to getting a medical degree or getting you, those science degrees. You may have another school that's really known for their business programs, or maybe their technology programs. So you'll want to ask those questions, and again, talk to your student, your counselors, and the admissions department at these schools. And then there's saving plans. So we're going to talk about ways that you can set aside savings for education, because there are some special programs that are administered by like this state where maybe you don't have to pay taxes on it. We'll talk about that, and then I'll stop and see if there's any questions. So an education savings account. So each year you can save up to, your parents, your family, extended family can save $2,000 until you're 18. And they're placed in investment accounts such as stocks and bonds. So you're going to be earning a little bit higher interest rate than just a savings account. The account holder generally does not pay income tax on the money that they earn. So with a regular savings account, sometimes you have to pay taxes depending on how much money you earn, but these special accounts, you may not have to pay taxes on those. Then we have 529 plans, state-sponsored college savings plans, and most states have these. You can put in more than $2,000. And again, it's also put in an investment pool, and which is designated by each state. So you're earning a higher interest rate than you would just a regular savings account, which also means you can't take the money out until after until you need to use it for college or for that additional education. That's one reason why you have tax advantages. And there may be some fees and risks because they put it in an investment pool. So you'll want to ask questions again about those fees and risks. And then prepaid tuition plans. So you pay tomorrow's tuition at today's rates. It may be offered by states or private colleges and universities. So just ask the colleges and universities if they have this 529 plan prepaid tuition. So these are different, again, like I said, than regular savings account. And you don't have as easy as access to it, but it is an option to consider. So are there any questions about the savings plan? Okay, so that's just one way to pay for it. Remember, there are 4 ways to pay for college. One is savings. The next one is grants and scholarships. So grants and scholarships are things that you can get. You apply for them, and depending on the grant program or the scholarship program, it's free money to pay for your college education. I just saw on the news today a program here in the town that I live in. The Chamber of Commerce had a scholarship program for students that were eligible and met all the criteria. And it's funded out of a golf tournament every year. So scholarships are one of those things that you definitely need to search for, because you may have unique ones tied to the school. You may have ones that are tied to a certain discipline or study, like if you wanted to go into agriculture or raising crops. So you just need to do your research. And again, there's a really nice search engine that I'm going to show you at the end of this lesson. But the definition of grants, we're going to talk about grants and scholarships. So grants, federal or state government money awarded to students based on financial need or academic achievement, and it does not have to be repaid. There are certain common types are called Pell Grants or Supplemental Education Opportunity Grants, and the states usually make these grants to students with financial need with strong grade point average. So your performance in school impacts whether you will get this grant or not. And you probably have to also be a longtime resident or attend college in the state. So to learn more information about that, again, you could look at your State Department of Education, but I'm going to show you the online search engine for that. Scholarships are kind of the same way, but there's different sources. So it's not just awarded by the state or the federal government, but there's university, nonprofit organizations, corporations, private individuals. There's also private industries. So for example, you may have the potato industry in a certain state. They want people to go into researching potatoes. And so that industry will fund a scholarship for some students. So you just need to search for the different scholarships that are out there. There are thousands. You just have to search for and apply, how much money they're worth and who they're awarded to. So you need to research that. You have to decide how you're going to spend your time when you're applying for those scholarships too, because you don't want to go and spend time filling out an application if it's a scholarship program that's not anything that you would qualify for or really focused on a topic that you're not interested in. So definitely research that. And again, to learn more, ask your high school guidance counselor, check with your local newspaper, do a search on Google, check with community organizations, talk to your parents and guardians and their employers. There are lots of employers these days who offer scholarships to their employees who either go to school themselves or who have dependents who go to school. So that's one thing to consider when you're looking for a job as well, is one of the benefits, do they offer a scholarship program for me to go to school? So ask those questions. I feel like McDonald's just recently introduced that they are paying for scholarships for their employees. I think like Starbucks is. I know Wells Fargo pays for, one of the benefits they have is scholarships for their employees. It does have to be related to your job, but it's still an option. So ask those questions of your employers.
Alvin, do you have any questions right now?
You can put it in the chat too.
Yeah, you can put it in the chat, or you can turn your mic on and ask the question. If not, just give us a thumbs up. Okay, Alvin doesn't have any questions.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So you got savings, you got grants, scholarships. The next option to pay for school is work study. And this is a government-sponsored program that may allow you to earn money to help pay for education. And it provides jobs basically for undergraduate and graduate students who have financial need. And the amount you earn depends on the level of your need, your school's funding, and when you apply. And the jobs they vary across the college campuses. I know that many of my siblings had work study, and one of my siblings worked in the computer lab, and that was her work study job. But once she got through with school, that's where she's worked, and she's worked at this university's computer lab for the past 25 years. And so work study could turn into an actual job for you as well. But it does also give you an insight into that department that you're working on. Like maybe you work as a researcher or receptionist in the art department, and then you'll be able to get to know the different professors that are there and what they do. So work study is definitely an option that you should talk to the guidance counselor about and the admissions officers at the college or university you decide to go to. So the next question, we've talked about all the different sources, is do you need to borrow? Because there's one source we haven't talked about, and that's student loans. So let's see what they say about student loans.
If the combination of your savings, grants, scholarships, and work study isn't enough to pay for school, you may need to borrow money too.
But remember, after you leave school, you'll have to repay your student loans with interest. So before you borrow, make sure to explore all of your options. Focus on getting grants and scholarships that don't have to be repaid.
And to keep your financial future healthy, borrow only the amount you'll need.
Okay, so student loans, those are an option. But again, it is still a loan. It's just the repayment is a little different because it is a loan for school. It's a long-term commitment. And before you accept any type of student loan, you need to research the rates, the fees, the length, and repayment, and your responsibilities as an owner. Same way you would understand any type of loan you take out, whether it's for a car or a home. But when it comes to your student loans, you need to understand what the responsibilities are. Often the student loans don't have to start being repaid until you are out of school. And whether that means you graduated or whether that means you weren't able to go to school for a year or two, the repayment doesn't kick in right away. So when you're thinking about student loans, you need to think about the repayment of it. And you want to keep your monthly payment, your future monthly payment of your student loan at about 10% is a guideline that they give. About 10% of the monthly income that you are going to earn once you get into your new career. So they have an example here, or to figure out how much you're going to be earning. Once you figure out like, okay, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to be a teacher in Nevada, and teachers are starting out their pay at $50,000. So that's what I'm going to earn after I get my degree in education. So take 50,000, multiply it by 8, divide that number by 12, and then take that number and multiply it by 1 or 10%. And that'll give you the monthly payment that you should try to aim for when you're talking about what your future student loan payment will be. And you got to be realistic about what your salary is going to be after graduation. So that's why it's always good to research about what careers are paying. If you, for example, are going to go into, let's say, be a teacher, but you think you're going to get paid $100,000 right out of school, that's probably not going to happen. And often when you start your career, the first year or two is a little bit lower salary than what you'll be earning in the future. And so you need to take that into account as well. And, you know, depending on all the other costs and expenses in your life at that time, are you going to maybe now be moving and having to rent an apartment? Are you going to have a car and have a car payment? So you have to think about, you know, what does it look like for me when I graduate from college? So when we talk about student loans, we're going to read through these and figuring out where to find them, how to apply, and how to repay. So I am going to actually read through these because these are different sources than a bank. So U.S. government loans, federal Perkins loans are low interest rate loans offered through schools. Federal Stafford loans are offered through banks, credit unions, nonprofit, student loan providers, or directly from the federal government through schools through 2017. So this information is kind of dated. But there are federal loans also for parents. So there are loans that are available for students, but there are also loans that are available for parents. So when we talk about student loans, subsidized Stafford loans are awarded based on the student's financial need. A key benefit of a subsidized loan is the government pays the interest as long as you're in school at least half time. Unsubsidized Stafford loans are not awarded based on financial need. You are, however, responsible for paying all of the loan interest. To reduce the long-term overall cost of the loan, it's a good idea to begin paying this interest while you're still in school. So you may ask yourself, well, how do they determine what my need is or not? And that's where filling out the application comes into play. It's just like filling out an application for a credit card. They're going to ask you about income that you're making, what you're doing. If you're not working, there's also a section where they're probably going to ask for your parents, your guardians, your family's financial situation as well. That's how they determine the need. So I don't know if there's any questions on that. Alvin, if you have any questions, just put it in the chat or take yourself off mute. And what is the interest rate on federal loans? The interest rates for federal student loans are set by the U.S. government to help make higher education possible for more people. The rates are often below market, meaning that they're usually a bargain compared to interest rates offered on non-federal loans. So meaning you'll get a reduced interest rate than maybe getting a student loan through a private company would be. And how do you apply? You fill out there's a link, and again, I'm going to show you this website, so I won't go into too much detail, but you find the link to the free application for federal student aid. It's called FAFSA. And you may have already heard about this in school. Your counselors can help with this, but you complete your FAFSA online and you electronically sign it. And then it allows you to know your eligibility for student aid, and the federal government makes changes to the student loan programs from time to time. So you need to check the website, and they'll also, once you sign up for your FAFSA, and you need to do it every year, even when you are in school, because they make updates and because they want to know, if you're still eligible, they will also send you information about student financial aid when you've signed up through FAFSA. So that's an important thing to complete. So state loan and private loans. Many state governments offer student loans. You need to just check with your state to see what they offer. And I would say that Nevada, most of the schools have some sort of either student financial aid or student loans, and they can definitely help you put together a list, or they may already have a list compiled on their websites. So you just need to check out the schools you're interested in. The important thing, when do I need to repay? When you sign a loan agreement or promissory note, you make a commitment to repay, which we know because we've talked about this before. Some lenders may offer more than one option for repayment schedule or a grace period before your first loan payment is due. With the federal loans, you must begin repaying 9 months after you graduate or leave school or drop below half-time status. And then with the Stafford loans, you begin repaying 6 months. So as you can see, and as we mentioned earlier, the difference between student loans and just regular loans is there's usually that buffer of time after either you graduate or you're unable to keep going to classes or you drop below half-time status. So there's 6 to 9 months, maybe even longer, before you actually have to start paying that student loan back. So even though that is fantastic because it helps you get established in your job and your career and hopefully start building up a little bit of savings, just know you still have that loan payment you're going to have. So you may even want to start just putting money in a savings account right as soon as you get your new job, and then you'll already be in the habit of making that monthly payment for your student loans. Can repayment be postponed? I would say most cases, yes. If you have a temporary financial hardship, some lenders may give you the option of postponing repayment for a period of time, known as a deferment, or temporarily reducing the amount of the student loan payment. So again, one of the common themes with student loans or other lending, if you run into a financial hardship, if you're not going to be able to make your payment, the best thing to do is contact your lender, whether it's for a student loan, car loan, home loan, contact your lender right away and talk to them and see what options they offer. So that's a lot of information. Alvin, do you have any questions? Or Ms. Rhonda, is there anything that I left out?
Nope, I think you covered everything extremely well.
Fantastic.
Alvin, any questions at all?
No,
Okay.
no questions.
No questions? Okay, great. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Alvin. So let's talk about making your action plan. So here's Katie in her junior year of high school. She wants to take the right steps in the right order to have enough money to go to college. So Katie's trying the best to decide the best order to do things, read through her list and what's the best choice. And Alvin, maybe if you can put it in the chat, that would be great. So first choice, oh, and there's Andre, fantastic. So this is Katie, she's thinking the choice number 1, should she first, I'll find out about bank loans. Senior year, I'll start applying for scholarships and grants. The next choice, I'll start looking for scholarships now. Senior year, my family will complete an application for federal student aid. Or the third choice, junior year, I'll calculate how much I can earn in college. And after senior year, I'll find out about getting a federal loan. Those are all good choices, but I don't know which one to do. So Alvin or Andre, if you want to put in the chat or take yourself off mute, which choice should we choose for Katie? Anything in the chat, Miss Rhonda?
Nothing in the chat. Okay. Oh, yes. Yes, it is. He says, can you read the question again?
Yeah. So what's the best choice? Katie's trying to decide the best order to do things to get ready to go to college. What is the best choice when it comes to figuring out how she's going to finance her college? First, she'll find out about bank loans. Senior year, she'll start applying for scholarships and grants. So that's senior year of high school. Or number 2, I'll start looking for scholarships now. Senior year, my family will complete an application for federal student aid. Or number 3, junior year, I'll calculate how much I can earn in college, and after senior year, I'll find out about getting a federal loan. So any choice, and I can't see the chat, Alvin or Andre, if you guys put it in there because my computer doesn't allow it. Do you want to take yourself off mute, or? Is there anything in the chat, Miss Rhonda?
Yes. Yes. So option 2 is the answer.
Okay.
Option 2. They said pick option 2.
Oh shoot. Okay, so it said there's a better choice, but that's the one I was going for too. I thought that sounded like the right way to go. So they said do one. All right. So best choice is to start looking for scholarships junior year and apply for federal student aid in January of her senior year. So I guess what threw me off is finding out about bank loans. That threw me off because I thought scholarships and grants are the best. So there is a competition for both scholarships and federal grant. It helps to apply as early as possible. Okay. So if you're thinking about education beyond high school, here are some things you can do to get ready. So I'm going to read through these steps quickly. Challenge yourself in high school. And you guys probably already know this, but take challenging courses in high school, work as hard as you can to learn as much as you can and get good grades. Begin thinking about your future and what career possibilities you have. And participate in extracurricular and volunteer activities because, and this will not only benefit your school, but your community. And it also looks really good on applications if you volunteered as well. And whether that's applications for jobs or scholarships. This can improve your chances of being admitted to post-secondary schools and earning scholarships. And also challenging yourself with your classes. If you can take advanced classes, sometimes they count for credit at colleges. So talk to your family. Of course, you know, this may be something that you're going to do on your own, which is fantastic. But your parents or your guardians, you want to talk to them about your future plans because they probably want to support you in whatever you do. And they can also maybe give you some perspective on the experiences they had right out of high school. So evaluating schools, studying for your placement test, they can help with that. Visiting your school, you can talk to your family about any money support that they can give as well. Next thing, meet with high school counselors. They can give you lots of information on different schools, about the applications. They can help you with the student loans, maybe talk about taking placement tests and write recommendations for you. And also just they know that it's tough and they're there to help you. Get ready for your tests. So the different tests that you may have to take, even though the deadlines may be 6 months out, you should at least register at least 6 weeks ahead of the test so you know you have time to study and avoid late registration fees. So these are tests that you have to take that you need to get into certain colleges. I think all colleges actually, and then consider what you want. It's never too early to think about what you want to do because junior year and senior year are going to fly by. What do you want in a post-secondary school? Do you want to go to a smaller school, whether that's a community college or a private school? Do you want to go to a big university? Maybe that's the way that whatever works for you is the right choice, whatever feels right. And also, what are you interested in studying? Is there a school that offers a better program for what you're interested in studying? So schools that are strong in subjects, extracurricular activities, they have different things on the campuses that you could participate in. Your career interests, that the careers that interest you, is it a trade school or a technical school, community college, university? So we've talked about all that. Consider whether you want to live on campus or live at home, whatever fits your life. And the other thing that's nice about it is just because you go down one path your freshman year, it doesn't mean you can't alter it your sophomore year of college or your junior year. So once you've thought about all these things, make a list and narrow it down. They suggest having 3 to 6 prospective schools and visit the schools that interest you. If possible, visit during the school year when the classes are in session so you can see what the students are doing and what the teachers are teaching and what's going on campus. Talk to your administration, the admins counselors at the schools, and also the high school counselors that you have, because they can provide you with information about the scholarships, any details about the school, and any tests that you have to take. And then keep track of your search. So stay organized with all of your searching. And I'm also going to show you a guide that you can download that'll help you keep track of that. So here is some information about maybe a suggested plan and timeline about what you should do. I know that you guys probably looked through this already this week, but we'll just quickly go over it. Your junior year, attend post-secondary school information nights and career fairs. Take applicable entrance exams. The guiding counselors can help with that. explore different schools online, and you can, look up any school online. And even if you're you haven't done this and you're a senior in school, you can still do that. Your senior year in September, meet with your guidance counselor to evaluate the different school choices. In October, apply to different schools and include at least one safety school, which means a school that you'll probably be accepted at. Ask your teachers, employers, or other adults for written recommendations. So this is just like a note or a letter to the schools that you want to apply for, talking about, how you have been throughout the school year, what extra things you do, maybe what volunteer activities you do, maybe you're in a music program or a school program. So that's what that recommendation would be. And you need to give them time to complete it. So if you know you're going to fill out an application in November, ask them in September about that recommendation. In November, find out your school's application deadlines and be sure you submitted that on time. December, decide where you want to live next year and submit your housing application. Keep an eye on scholarship deadlines, and those scholarship deadlines, grant deadlines, can come out throughout the year. In January, that's when they suggest to complete the free application for federal student loan, the FAFSA application, which we already talked about. And again, I'll show you that link in just a minute. In February, provide your high school guidance counselor with the necessary mid-year grade forms, because sometimes the guidance counselor has to provide some information for your applications too. Doesn't mean that schools require them. And again, check online for all the different requirements that the schools you're interested in have. Register for advanced placement test too. That's in February. And continue to complete scholarship applications. Then in March, 4 weeks after submitting your FAFSA, you're going to start receiving student aid reports, and that will contain your financial information and expected family contribution. Schools use this to determine our financial aid package. So be sure it's accurate. You should be receiving your admissions decisions from schools around this time. So again, submitting the FAFSA, that's really important piece of going on beyond high school. And then senior year, compare your financial aid awards from different schools, figure out what's going to work best and the cost of any loans that you may decide you need to take out, and make your final choice and notify the schools of your decision to accept or decline their offer of admission. Many schools have acceptance deadlines in April or early May, so that's right now. And then the last thing you need to do in May is just enjoy the last couple weeks of high school. And congratulations, you've graduated. Then they talk about summer, which I'm sure you're going to be doing, consistently anyway, is just saving the money from your summer job, buy things you might need for school gradually over the summer, and be aware of the freshman orientation dates. Freshman orientation dates are really important because it's how they introduce the school campus to you. There are several steps in the application process. I am going to quickly go through these because we are running short on time. Want to give you guys time to ask questions if you have them. Get an application. Again, that FAFSA application, it's online at the U.S. Department of Education, and they use that to evaluate your family financial status and your financial position. Fill out the application, and I would suggest you guys probably are comfortable filling it out online. Fill it out online. Your expected family contribution. Use the information on your FAFSA application. The education department determines how much your family can afford to pay for your education, and this is called the expected family contribution. Based on this and the cost of the school you want to attend, they'll determine your eligibility for federal aid and loan programs. And it's okay if your family can't contribute anything. I mean, that if your family can contribute some, that's great too. But I know that my family wasn't able to contribute very much for my education, and that's okay. And so I did work part-time during school, which helped me on my resume, helped me get a pretty good job when I got out of school. Your student aid report. So the Department of Education determines your family contribution, and then they either mail you a student aid report, or they'll probably send it to you via email. So you'd be looking for that after you apply for fill out your FAFSA application. Compare your financial aid packages. So every school has one or more financial aid officers, and their job is to determine what age you qualify for. So they have someone there to help you walk you through the different financial aid packages. And this would include your federal loans, state loans, grants, scholarships, and work study programs. And so review and compare all the different aid packages you receive and pick the school that you want to attend that fits you the best. And then accept or decline each offer of aid. So again, just to talk about this again, if you want financial aid grants, work study loans, complete the FAFSA is a must. I'm not going to go through this, but I want you guys to go back and go through this on your own time. It walks you through applying for financial aid. And we are going to go on to managing money in school and after. So just as we've talked about throughout the whole 6-week series, managing your money takes time, and you know, you need to stay on top of what expenses you have going out, what bills you have going out, what income you have coming in. So we're going to read through this scenario with Carrie because it's an interesting situation. So Carrie celebrated her graduation from college by traveling in Africa for 6 months. What a great vacation. The grace period on her student loan ended. She spent most of her savings on her trip, but had a job lined up when she got back. After 3 months at the job, she got laid off. She landed part-time work at a coffee bar, but she knows she's not going to be able to make this month's student loan payment. So given Carrie's situation, what do you think's best for her? Should she contact her lender right away, discuss her situation and possible repayment options? Should she save the monthly statements for now, meaning the monthly loan, student loan statements, stay committed to paying the lender eventually plus interest, or pay what she can this month, pay more than the monthly amount, and later to get caught up quickly? So there are 3 options. I'm going to say, because the one thing that we've also said throughout our series of lessons is that if you ever have trouble making a loan payment, credit card payment, contact your lender right away to see what options are out there. So that is the right choice. Again, you guys know this, we've talked about it. Contact your lender. Let's see what other advice they give us, and then we'll wrap this up.
The hands-on banking program is all about being a good money manager. You can learn a lot by covering as many of the topics as you can.
But we know you're busy, especially if you're a student. So here are some tips that are really useful while you're going to school.
Right. So these tips are the same tips that we've talked about earlier. But so you're familiar with them? So we're just going to read through the highlights. So create that personal spending plan. What works for you? What income do you have coming in? Remember to pay yourself first. Put that money into savings so that you'll have money for emergencies or for fun things. So create that personal spending plan and stick to it. And also know that you can change your spending plan as your situation changes. Be a smart shopper. So look for savings where you can. Shop for bargains instead of paying full price. And when you are a student, sometimes you get student discounts. Maybe you get student discounts at restaurants, or maybe going to the movie, or even for other things, basic necessities. So be sure you check those out as well. Be careful with credit cards. Again, when you turn 18 and you know, go off on whatever path, sometimes you get a lot of credit card offers. So you want to make sure that you read all the terms, all the agreements, and ask questions. Don't sign anything until you know for sure that that's the right credit for you. Weigh the value of part-time work. I'm just going to read this because there are 168 hours in a week. If you sleep for 56 hours and attend school for 40 hours, that leaves 72 hours for other activities, including part-time jobs and socialization, so having fun. If you need to work while attending school, consider how to earn the highest return you can for the time you invest. Try to minimize the impact of the work on your school studies. Investigate your eligibility for work study programs at your school, because you may find that work relates to your field of study. So, you know, it's important. They talk about attending school for 40 hours a week, and that probably includes your homework, but you're going to be studying a lot as well. So you need to take that in consideration if you are going to work part-time. make banking convenient. We've talked about how there's online programs with whatever bank that you go with. They always have the mobile and the online tools and resources to help you manage money. And so make sure you look at those and see what will help you make it easy for you to manage your money so you don't have to think about it. So if you get your paycheck, automatically have a certain amount of dollars go into your savings account. Maybe have any bills that you need to pay come out directly so that you don't even have to think about those things being paid. And it keeps the stress off of you, because going to school is stressful enough. So, make that as stressless as possible. Time your bill payments, see if there's some way that you can actually pay your bills, certain bills at a certain time of the month, depending on the income you have. Keep really good records. Again, just keep track of how you spend your money, what you have coming in and going out. And how to manage your financial aid. Financial aid is like getting a big chunk of money. So you need to understand how you're going to get that money and then how you're going to pay your bills. And important point, keep applying for financial aid. Continue to apply for grants and scholarships, regardless whether it's the first year or your last year of college. And repay your student loans. Again, we've already talked about this, but graduate, and then that increases your earning potential. And use that grace period, the 6 to 9 months before your student loan payments are due, to either get other bills paid off or to maybe get in the habit of paying that student loan, putting it in your savings account. Make one extra payment. Try saving up over the course of each year to make one extra payment on your student loan. This makes a big difference because it reduces your principal, which will reduce the amount of interest you pay over time. And again, if you can't pay, call the lender right away. So Alvin and Andre, do you guys have any questions? You might want to take it off mute if you do, or maybe any thoughts that you have about managing your money, managing your student loans.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Andre. Okay, what are your next
questions either?
Thank you very much, Alvin. I appreciate that.
It's time to recap what we've covered about education beyond high school.
Higher education is a great investment in you. It can give you skills and knowledge that'll help you in life, no matter what job or career you choose.
It may also help you expand your job options and earn a good living. A 4-year college may not be right for everyone, but there are other options.
If you want to make it happen, you and your family need to start saving as much as you can as soon as you can. You also need to start thinking about where you'll find the rest of the money you'll need. Grants and scholarships, work study, and student loans.
Be sure to apply for financial aid. Remember that it takes a team effort. Talk to your family and the schools that interest you. Submit your FAFSA as early as you can and renew your application every year you're in school.
Before you take out student loans, figure out how much money you actually need. You may be able to get by without a loan. Remember, a loan is money you'll have to repay.
And finally, being a smart money manager will be a huge help while you're in school and after.
All right. So here's some additional points. Invest in yourself. Again, that savings. Expand your career options. That would be with whatever you go into after high school. Again, whether it's 4-year, 2-year, trade school, and even, if you start an apprenticeship, you're expanding your career options, everything that you learn. And when it comes to volunteering, that might be a way to expand your career options as well. You could volunteer to do certain things and that interest you. Maybe you really like plants, and so volunteering at the botanical gardens or a nonprofit that has a community garden, that will help you expand your knowledge about that subject and also your networks within it. Talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, and talk to them about how they got into their jobs. Explore all your options, start saving as much as you can. Search for those scholarships, apply for financial aid, submit your FAFSA, Only borrow what you need. So if you can make it without student loans, that would be great. But you may have to take those out. Be prepared to repay and use your smart money management knowledge that you've gotten over these last 6 weeks to manage your money wisely and make it work for you. So I'm going to take you really quick to the online source. I think you can see this. This is the search engine I was talking about for scholarships and grants, and it's called tuitionfundingsources.com. So if you can write that down, tuitionfundingsources.com. But this will help you with scholarship searches, and it's a national scholarship search online resource. So here it has different scholarships, resources for financial aid, student loans, and careers. So again, www.tuitionfundingsources.com. And Rhonda, I can send this to you guys so you'll have it as well. And then the last online tool I wanted to show you is something that Wells Fargo has as a free service on our website. It's called Get College Ready. And one of the great things about this is that it has this guide that you can download that helps you keep track of your scholarships searches. And it's in English and Spanish. So I'm going to take you to this really quickly so you can see what it looks like. But you can download this, you can keep it online and save it. It's a planning guide, and it has all of these different checklists for juniors and seniors: meet with your counselor, choosing a college, pay for college, apply for college, and managing your money. So again, just a checklist that keeps you on track for completing certain tasks as you go through your junior and senior year in high school. It also has all of these different links. So there's a tuition, the funding, the website I just showed you. Here is a link to the FAFSA application. So again, I will send this link also to Miss Rhonda, along with the other link, and then she can send it out to you guys, and you'll have that at the tip of your fingers. So again, as always, we had a lot of information today. Please know that if you have questions, Miss Rhonda knows how to get in touch with all of us, and we're happy to answer any questions you have. But do you have any questions right now or any comments about any of the information?
Nope, no questions for me.
Great. Was some of this stuff familiar to you already, Andre?
Yeah, a lot of this stuff seemed pretty familiar to me.
Okay, fantastic. And what year are you in school?
I'm in my senior year of high school.
Oh, fantastic. So this stuff should be familiar to you.
Yeah.
You'll be graduating pretty soon, I take it.
Yep.
Oh, congratulations. What a great feeling. Alvin, do you have any questions?
No. Yeah.
And what grade are you in, Alvin?
I'm a sophomore right now.
Ah, so you can learn from Andre. Excellent. So yeah, so this checklist will help you as you'll be into your junior year next year, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining today, and thanks everyone who is watching this recording. There's lots of tools and resources out there, not only from places like Wells Fargo, but your Department of Education, schools. Talk to your guidance counselors. You don't have to pay for any of this information. It's free information to help you guys make better choices. So, Miss Rhonda, do you have any questions or last thoughts?
No, it was a great class today. Thank you, students, for joining us. Thank you, Ms. Jane Pavick, our partner at Wells Fargo with the Wells Fargo Hands-On Banking. Gentlemen, this is our last class this week. Next week, you will be taking your final exam, and then we'll be going to visit the bank. So we look forward to seeing you next week to take your exam, and we hope everybody had a fantastic day. Thank you for listening. Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you.